week 3 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few pitchers I would drop this week. The first guy, Jon Gray of the Texas Rangers. So Gray, so far, he's got off to a bad start with his new team after signing a 3-year contract in the offseason with the Rangers. So on the season here for Gray, 9 innings, 0-1 record, 6 hits, 7 earned runs, 3 walks, 8 Ks, a 7 ERA, and a 1 whip. So right here, he's not getting off to the good start. Now he's on the injured list with a knee injury. And that's a recipe for disaster. And Jon Gray, it's just been an inconsistent career for him. But it was good to see him get a good contract in the offseason. But here, obviously, in Texas, it's a tough ballpark to pitch in. I know the West isn't the greatest of divisions, but you still got some decent hitting teams out there with the Los Angeles Angels, obviously a good hitting team, and the Houston Astros. So the first 2 outings for Gray, April 8th at Toronto, 4 innings, no decision, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks. And April 19th at Seattle, 5 innings, got the loss, 3 hits, 4 runs, a walk, and 4 Ks. And now with the knee injury, we'll see how long he's going to be out here as Gray. But like I mentioned, he's in the American League, not a great pitcher's ballpark, and a very inconsistent guy, even though I know last season was pretty good for him in a tough course field, obviously, pitching over there. But right now I would drop him. He's been dropped in 3% of fantasy leagues, and there's really no timetable for his return, even though I don't think he'll be out super long as Gray, but he's still a player I can't trust right now, and there's better options on the wire, especially at starting pitching. So I would drop Jon Gray this week. The next guy, Anthony DeSclafani of the San Francisco Giants. So he's another guy banged up as well with an ankle injury. He's going to be out a few weeks here with right ankle inflammation. And last season, he was a masterpiece for this Giant team. But so far this season, he's off to a horrid start. 13 1/3, 0-run record, 22 hits, 9 earned runs, 2 walks for DeSclafani, 13 Ks, a 6.08 ERA, and a 1.08 whip. So he's had 3 starts under his belt, and he's failed to get past the 5th inning in any of those ball games. And he was great for the Giants, and he was one of the big pieces as well, like I mentioned, that led him to winning 107 games last season. So the first 3 outings for him before he went on the injured list, April 10th versus Miami, 3 2/3, no decision, 8 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, 5 Ks. April 16th at the Guardians, 4 2/3, no decision, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 Ks. And then April 21st at the Mets, before he went down in that one, 5 innings, got the loss in that ball game, 9 hits, 5 earned runs, a walk, and 4 Ks. So he just hasn't gotten anything going. And now with the injury here, I know he was great last season, but now this season, maybe the league caught up to him a little bit, because even in his Cincinnati Red days, he just wasn't that good of a pitcher as well as DeSclafani, and he found it over the last couple seasons here with the San Francisco Giants. But right now with the injury and the struggles, I would cut him loose. And if he gets hot again once he comes back, then I would go out there. But in my opinion, he's probably going to be out till June with the rehab starts and all that before he's back on the field for the Giants. So right now, if you don't want to waste an injured list spot on him, it's perfectly fine, I believe. And I would drop DeSclafani this week, especially in shallower leagues. The next guy is Yusei Kikuchi of the Toronto Blue Jays. So Kikuchi, they gave a decent contract in the offseason here. But he's a guy with the Seattle Mariners last season that I just didn't think he was all that great. He started off decent, and then in the second half, or even before that of the season, he fell apart, and he just wasn't getting the job done. So on the season here for Kikuchi, 12 innings, 0-1 record, 11 hits, 5 earned runs, 10 walks, 9 Ks, 3.75 ERA, but a 1.75 whip, so the walks are definitely hurting him. I know he's with a team that has one of the best offense, if it's not the best offense, in all of Major League Baseball here with the Toronto Blue Jays. But he's a guy that pitches in a tough division with good hitting teams like the New York Yankees, the Boston Red Sox, obviously, Tampa Rays can always hit it, so it's pretty tough here. So the first 3 outings here for Kikuchi, April 12th, at the Yankees in the 3rd, got the loss, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 Ks. April 19th at Boston, 5 innings in that one, no decision, 3 hits and earned run, 3 walks, 3 Ks. And then April 24th at Houston, 3 2/3, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 walks, 4 Ks. So the walks have definitely hurt Kikuchi in the early going. And he's just not going deep into ball games. And his next outing is April 29th versus Houston, which is going to be another tough one, in my opinion. So right now, I would cut him loose. And like I said, I know he plays with a great offense behind him over there in Toronto, but he's just not consistent. And a guy only going 4 or 5 innings just isn't going to cut it. You want those guys that are going to go deep into ball games, give you a chance almost every time out there to give you a victory for your fantasy team. And right now, Kikuchi just isn't that guy. The next guy is Aaron Savall of the Cleveland Guardians. I mentioned him last week as his drop, if you watched that video. And he did get dropped in 9% of fantasy leagues, but it still wasn't enough because he's been batting practice so far on the season here. Savall, 10 and a third, 0-2 record, 15 hits, 11 earned runs, 5 walks, 11 Ks, a 9.58 ERA, and a 1.94 whip. So he's just been a horror story for fantasy owners. And Savall last season, he was pretty solid with this Guardian team. But this year, I don't know what happened. Maybe the league caught up to him. Maybe he's injured or something, and he's hiding it. But it just hasn't been good. And plus, he's on a team that's not going to give him much run support this season. April 11th in Kansas City, 3 and a third, no decision. 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 Ks. April 17th versus the Giants, 4 innings, got the loss. 4 hits, 3 earned runs, a walk, 5 Ks. And then April 24th at the Yankees, he got bombed, 3 innings, got the loss. 7 hits, 6 earned runs, a walk, and 3 Ks. So right now, teams are hitting them pretty good. They're getting 4 or 5 hits a game at least. And he's not going deep into ball games here, is Aaron Savall. I know his next outing's a good one, April 29th at Oakland. But still, I just can't trust him. He's not throwing well. Teams are hitting him. He's walking guys at a decent rate as well. And he's just a pitcher right now I can't trust. And it's easier to get him off my roster. If he could put 2-3 starts together that are decent, then you go back and pick him up on the wire. But right now, no reason to hold on to him, especially in 10 and 12 team leagues. And final pitcher I would drop this week's Patrick Corbin of the Washington Nationals. So Corbin last season, he was a mediocre pitcher. But this season here, I think his best days are definitely behind him after what we've seen from him. His first 4 starts of the season. On the season, 13 and 2/3, 0-3 record, 24 hits, 17 earned runs, 11 walks, 15 Ks, a whopping 11.20 ERA, and a 2.86 whip. So that's all the numbers you need to see here. He's not going deep into games. He's in a tough division with the Braves, Phillies, and the Mets, and even the Marlins could hit the baseball a little bit. And this national team's going to lose possibly 90 to 100 games as well this season. And Corbin, I just think he's finished in general. April 7th versus the Mets, 4 innings, got the loss, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks. April 12th at Atlanta, 2 and 2/3, got the loss, 9 hits, 6 runs, 3 walks, 3 Ks. April 17th at Pittsburgh, 5 and a third, 3 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 4 Ks. And April 22nd versus the Giants, 1 and 2/3, got the loss, 7 hits, 7 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 Ks. So right now, no reason for him to be on your roster. It wouldn't surprise me to see him get demoted from this Washington National rotation or even outright cut with a couple years left on his contract, because that's how bad he's been this season. So that's a few pitches I would drop here for week 3 of the fantasy baseball season.